photo from one of my producers in the morning. He called you a PF sympathizer, so
all right, you can go ahead like that. It's all right. It's
all
okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. We also do have Mr. Jason Mwanza, the Lusaka National, or rather National Leadership Movement Information and Publicity Secretary as well, joining us on the panel. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chisha, and good evening to the viewers.
All right, gentlemen, we have two basic rules on Blunt Talk. The first rule is that you have 3 minutes each to answer the questions I have for you on this particular panel for each session. And then also, if you have any counter reaction towards your panelists, you are able to do it within your 3 minutes and not your fellow panelists' 3 minutes. So let's not interject on the time. Let's respect each other's time and be able to answer the questions accordingly. I hope that is very clear. All right, let's start right into it, gentlemen. I'll start with you, Mr. Matomola Likwanya, the UPND Lusaka District IPS. You had a protest on Friday, and this protest was highly televised on the media. Let's get to understand the rationale of this particular protest.
Well, thank you so much. I, first of all, wish to appreciate the management of Muvi TV for giving us this oxygen of publicity to speak on this critical issue that affect the Zambian people. We did write a letter to the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to consider passing a motion in Parliament to lift the immunity of former President Dr. Edgar Chagwarungu. Constitutionally, we are mandated as Zambian citizens to raise concerns on things that matter. We voted for this government as Zambian citizens that they should continue to fight corruption. And as UPND campaigned on the premise that they were going to fight corruption. And this fight against corruption did not mean that they were exempt certain individuals. Therefore, we believe that even the former president, Dr. Edgar Chagwarungu, is not immune, is not above the law. And that is the reason why we wrote 10 points to the president on why we feel that his immunity should be lifted. And I will be honored on this platform to speak about some of those clauses, some of those justifiable reasons that we feel that former President Dr. Edgar Chagwarungu his immunity should be lifted. We also went into history and discovered that this is not the first time that a former president's immunity is being lifted. We lifted the immunity of former President FTJ. We lifted the immunity of former President Arabi Rupia Banda, and tremendous success was scored because a precedent was set that a president is not immune. A president is not above the law. Through this process, the country, for example, in the case of FTJ, did recover some assets, as we saw certain flats, accounts being freezed, and money was forfeited to the state. Records are there. Even in the time of Arabi, it was equally the same because people were made to account. They were held accountable on the decisions that they did. We strongly hold the view, okay, as individuals, by the way, and I want to clarify this point as we go further on this program, that the opinions and views that some of us on this program are airing are not the opinions of the United Party for National Development, but they are opinions that are raised as Zambian citizens. I'm speaking in my capacity as a concerned Zambian citizen, not because that I've been sent or sponsored by the UPND or President Hakainde Hichilema, but this is a feeling that many of us as citizens who went there to vote, who suffered at the hands of the brutal regime of the Patriotic Front feel. We hold the view.
Now, Mr. Matomola, you did mention that former President Chuluba, may so rest in peace, and former President Rupia Banda, the immunity was scrapped off. But we saw that the cases did not go anywhere. They were acquitted and the immunity was restored.
We made history in a way that the action in itself of lifting a former president's immunity to pave way for investigation showed to the Zambian people that even presidents can be held accountable for the things that they have done. And we believe that even going forward in the future, even now, we must lift the immunity of former President Edgar Chagwarungu for the ACC, the Drug Enforcement Commission, the police, and all investigative agencies to continue investigating, because we believe that this president is the most corrupt president, former president that we've had in the history of our country.
Thank you so much. We'll start, the next session, we'll start on what you just mentioned as him being the corrupt president. Let me throw it to you, Mr. Chanoda Ngwira. Of course, understanding that you also responded to the protest that the civil society organizations that are calling themselves, had on Friday. Let's look at. Did you understand the morale, or rather the rationale per se of this particular protest that they had on Friday?
You see, I've got a big problem with. We've been around. I've got a problem with young, excited people of this country that would want to excite the powers that be for obvious reasons. They need to eat. They need to survive. But look, I think as a country we need to wind ourselves from jokes. We need to be serious for the first, at least for the first time. I think I wouldn't want to draw so much in the personalities of the individuals that went to give the so-called petition.
Let's look at the personalities.
No. I think that's a sheer waste of airtime on Muvi TV. I think this is a great TV station, and we wouldn't want to really divulge ourselves in persons that...
Are you able to mention one personality that you feel...
Like I've said, Chisha, I think let's look at, the particular topic. Number one, the first thing that we need to look at is procedure. And we have to also look at the law. What does the law provide? There is no law that says some excited so-called civil society leaders are going to go to State House and protest and give a petition. Secondly, it is very clear that a prima facie case must be established. And we are talking about a head of state who is supposed to move a motion in Parliament, not through being pushed by, sorry to use this word, these political toddlers and the like. It doesn't make sense. And no, it really pains me to see that the young generation is misusing themselves, degenerating to points where one would even start asking themselves, am I in Zambia? Number one, President Hakainde Hichilema has got the instruments of power, and he's got the OP on his side. He's got the Anti-Corruption Commission on his side. He's got all the law enforcement agencies. My brother, he has got information on his fingertips. He doesn't need any of us here to push him. The moment he sees that there is need for removing the immunity of President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, he will definitely announce to the nation that, no, I think now I have got information, let me go to Parliament and move the nation. Move the motion. You do not need these cadres in the disguise of non-government organizations. No, we should not embarrass, the non-government organization world. I think that is quite embarrassing. And, I came here because I said, if I say, no, let me stay away, it wouldn't be nice. But believe you me, it is not helping anybody. Just like you have said, what have we achieved from the prosecution of former head of states? The two of them, what did we achieve? Nothing. Apart from the country spending colossal sums of dollars, and you yield a 500,000 kwacha out of it. For what?
All right, I know your time is up, but I just want you to mention one personality that you feel is not competent enough to have such a protest.
He's the district IPS of the UPND. A serving district IPS of a political party. You go and parade yourself.
He has two positions. He went in the position of a CSO, as he's mentioned.
Sir, it's very clear. When you are a non-government organization leader, there is always precedence. You can't serve two masters at a time. The time that I left the PF, I declared, yes, we may have sympathies and all that, but such a platform as a UPND leader, not at a branch, but a district for that matter. He's a big man in the party. Right. A very big man.
Thank you so much.
So, no, wait, let me finish my thought, Chish.
Quickly, your time is up, Mr.
Yes, I'm finishing. You have asked me, my time was gone, but let me finish this thought that you've asked me. Yeah, so what I'm saying is this. You cannot say that, no, as IPS of a political party, then you change and become a civil society organization leader. This is a UPND agenda represented by the Honorable Publicity and Information Secretary in the name of Bonahu. Matomola, whatever, is it Motorola? Whatever the name is.
Thank you so much for that. Let's get to the leadership movement, national IPS. Your thoughts on understanding the rationale of the protest that the CSOs had on Friday. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Thank you very much, Chisha. Well, as leadership movement party, first of all, would like to announce to the nation that we are very interested in the fight against corruption. And leadership movement party has one of the most strict policies, you know, when it comes to the fight against corruption, and hence we understand the whole ideology behind the lifting of the immunity on the former president. But we are not in support of the political inclination behind the lifting or the pushing of the lifting of the immunity, you know, on the former president of Zambia, Dr. Edgar Chagwa. Now, we understand, you know, that there are political inclinations behind this, and just like my fellow comrade here has stated, the president, I think, in his capacity, does not need to be pushed for him to understand that there is a duty that he has to perform because he has the instruments of power. And hence, we are not supposed to interfere, you know, with his leadership. I'm surprised that one of the leaders, you know, for this movement is the IPS, district IPS for the UPND, because these are the same people that have been crying, you know, asking for more time for them to operate in the manner that they wish to operate. Hence, if we are getting such pressure from colleagues like him already in the UPND, then there is no need for them to start crying over other issues that they've been crying for time on. Yes. Hence, as leadership movement party, our agenda is very simple, straightforward, and straight to the point. We are in support of the fight against corruption, but we are not in support of the political inclinations behind some of the agendas that have been brought on the table.
What are some of these political inclinations that you're talking about, Mr. Mwanza?
As we go on, let's, you know, let me not preempt everything. From the start, I wish to be strategic in my debate, Mr. Chisha. I wish to be strategic in my debate. Hence, allow me at this particular point in time to say, you know, we are in support of the fight against corruption.
What are the political inclinations
we are not in support of the political
that you
inclinations
stated, Mr. Mwanza?
You see, let me just mention one thing to you, you know, and bring one thing to the attention of the Zambian people. I'm sure you have even felt the anger in his voice when he talks about the most corrupt former president this nation has ever seen. You understand? We understand as leadership movement party that there are urgent issues that have to be sorted right now. This is a new dawn government, and Zambia is at a point where we expect revival. Hence, following after an individual currently is not going to solve some of the problems that Zambia has. We have seen in history that actually it is a loss of time. And it is in these processes that actually certain individuals get to also benefit from national assets, you know, in the name of trying to follow through one person's acts.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mwanza. We'll get back to you. Mr. Matomola, I saw that you really wanted to respond to the two panelists. I'll give you that time for you to respond just now. But also, let's get back to the aspect of, you called ECL the most corrupt president that Zambia has ever had.
Well,
justify your answer.
Before I go to that point, let me make it clear on this platform that we are all politicians drawn from different political parties. I feel so disappointed that my colleague here, my brother, from the Patriotic Front, would come here and hide under the name of a civil society. Mr. Chanoda Ngwira is a formidable PF supporter. This image, if the camera can zoom, shows him with a fist clad in PF regalia. This is a PF cadre. He is not a civil society organization leader as he claims to be.
Mr.
Now I'm coming to that. But wait.
Yeah.
I want to take you slowly. Mr. Chanoda Ngwira is here to defend the former President Edgar Chagwa because they are friends and that last night they met. This is the archive that we have. Let the camera zoom a little bit here. This is him, Mr. Chanoda Ngwira, the one who is seated next here. They are shaking hands with Edgar Lungu. I'm sure you can see that from there. It is late at night. That explains to you why he defending former President Edgar Lungu vigorously as an individual here. He is not whatever executive director you call him. He is a PF. He once aspired to stand for Chasefu and he was not adopted. So I want to set the record straight just there that as we speak on this platform, this man is not representing a civil society. He is a full-blown PF. And I've got enough, I've got a dossier, I'm coming there. I've got a dossier that I want to submit to this. So that the Zambian people should know, the people that have been brought on this platform. Okay?
Well, as you are unveiling those particular pictures, I did mention that he's coming from a CSO and he's a PF sympathizer. And
no, he's saying that he is a civil society. You have heard him clear. Now, coming to the point, the reason why some of the people on this platform like him would come vigorously to defend the position of former President Edgar Lungu, not his immunity not being lifted, is because he knows that the moment former President Edgar Lungu's immunity to be lifted, people like him will be in the books of the ICC. Here is a dossier that I have against him to prove that if the former President Edgar Lungu's immunity to be lifted, some of the people that to be found wanting by the law, it is him. On 2 October 2020, this man that is here, okay, he's in the books of, he's in the books of, and this for members of the public and the media and you, the journalists. I want to say this information. I have it I have it here. I'll give it to everyone. This man here is in the books of the ACC. It is alleged that the ACC actually they summoned him, where Chanoda Ngwira in ACC books over alleged corrupt sale of animals.
Well,
Mr. Matomola, there was a time. No. I want to give me time. Give me time.
How authentic is that information?
Very much authentic, and that's why I brought it here.
Yeah, you have 3 minutes to really give your answers, and now you've passed your
yes. Now the reason why I'm bringing this dose, and I have a lot.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm bringing this information, I want to tell the Zambian people why people like him have got the energy
and let's stick to
defend
the topic, Mr.
Yes, so
Mr.
coming to the topic.
Yes.
Coming to the topic, I've got a lot of information against him. We are still going now. Now the issue is this. Former President Edgar Lungu is a Zambian citizen, one. And the reason why some of us are championing this agenda is not because we have been paid. Like him who made Edgar Lungu to discuss that, go and defend me. The issue which is here is that former President Edgar Lungu, he is not immune to being investigated. Why? Because we have done this before. Now, here is one of the reasons why we are saying former President Edgar Lungu must be investigated. Former President Edgar Lungu ruled and directed his ministers to stay in power illegally. Okay? They were drawing salaries. They were getting allowances, taxpayers' money. They stayed in office illegally. The Constitutional Court ruled that former President Edgar Lungu had breached and gone against the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia. The judgment, I have it here. And this judgment that I have here clearly puts former President Edgar Lungu in breach of the Zambian Constitution. Now, what does the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia say against a former president or any person who goes against the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia?
Time is not.
This is one of the reasons, and we are going. I've got about 10 of many reasons.
All right, just mention quickly before we get to the next panel. Mention quickly 2 other things that are in your petition. Quickly, please.
Yes, one of the other reasons that we are petitioning former President Edgar Lungu is very simple. Former President Edgar Lungu's government, through the Vice President and himself, had issued to the nation that they knew the people were gassing the Zambian people. They knew the people who bent city market.
Thank you so much. The third
they knew the people who were behind acts of arson, and former President Edgar Lungu is mentioned to have sponsored terrorist groups in Rwanda.
All right, thank you so much.
A witness in the Rwandan court testified.
Mr. Matomola, as I get back to you, I want you to give me the proof of all the things that you are saying? Because yes, we've heard those, but is there concrete proof of what you're stating right now on television?
I have the proof.
We'll get back to you. Mr. Chanoda Ngwira, the African Youth Movement Zambia Executive Director, stroke PF sympathizer. Your reaction to what Mr. Matomola said, but also in addition, do you believe that ECL's immunity scrap-off is justifiable?
I'll be honest with you, Mr. Chisha. In the first place, I'm so worried with my young man here, because the allegations that he's putting forward are quite very serious.
Very serious.
And these allegations that when some of us decide to react, I think it will be very difficult for him to prove in court. Firstly, yes, President Edgar Chagwa was my president. He still remains the former president of mine, and I'm very proud of him. And I'm very proud having associated with him. Secondly, I've never been caught by any law enforcement agencies. I've never been caught by the Anti-Corruption Commission to have issues of selling animals. And this, Chisha, starting from today, actually tomorrow, I'm instructing my lawyers. And this, I think he must be an example. I'm instructing my lawyers to take him to court so that he can go and prove when the Anti-Corruption Commission summoned me, when I was investigated on the issues of animals. I don't know which animals. So this one, I'm taking it very seriously, because I've never been summoned. I've never been convicted before, like some of these boys that are parading as civil society organizations. You know, sometimes when you want to come for justice, come with clean hands. I'm not going to call him names or what happened to him in the past at Evelyn Horn or at Mwanza, or him being on bail or 5,000 for trespassing. I'm not going to dwell into that, because I know the young man is just excited. Secondly, why we are not saying that President Edgar Chagwa immunity should not be lifted. No, the law is there. If there is a case that has been established, we are going to support, and we are going to applaud that. Yes, I think it is time that the president, exonerates himself. But it must not, like my brother said here, have some political inclination to it. And I'm going to answer the question that you gave him, because he doesn't want to, finish his dossier. As you can see, I'm the only one who has come without. In fact, let me stand. Yeah. I'm the only one who has not come with papers. Yeah. It is simple, my brother. Let the procedure be followed. Then we are going to what? To clap hands. If these brothers, even with their dead hands, went to the president to petition without casting aspersions on the former head of state, who could have said, I think this is genuine. Not where you say he's the most corrupt president. You have no evidence. Which court has he been tried in? Who said that he's the most, corrupt? No, Edgar Lungu did this. Edgar Lungu sponsored this. These are things that the young man would start even shivering in court if he was to be taken to court, like I'm going to do tomorrow. And this one, I'm very serious. He must prove this. This is the problem with social media. You go to Causeway, you go to Wantum Media, and you start downloading, and you want to present that as evidence. And you are going to pay a lot of money to people. I'm already okay. Now, if I finish your money, the little money you have, if at all you have, how are you going to survive? So I'm getting him, and I want Muvi TV to save this video. Because I'm also citing you, Muvi TV. I'm joking, but I want this video. Well, on a serious note, I'm going to sue the young man, because these are serious allegations. I'm a national leader. I'm a leader that is aspiring as in the political. I've got a family. I've got my wife. I've got people that follow me. And somebody cannot come here to start accusing me on allegations that he cannot prove. I've never been caught by Anti-Corruption Commission. And I'm going to also call on Anti-Corruption Commission to come and testify against this young man.
All right. Thank you so much. Before I know you're so eager to answer, Mr. Likwanya. We'll get to you. Let's get to Mr. Mwanza. Is it justifiable that ECL's immunity should be scrapped off? And any other particular reactions that you have on the panelists? Your 3 minutes starts now.
Well, first of all, like I had earlier stated, the removal of immunity on any person is actually good for them to actually prove themselves against any allegations that, may be thrown at them. What we are not in support of as Leadership Movement Party, please get me clearly, is the manner in which some of the things are done, concerning certain, because now, like you can see the tension on the panel right now, some things are starting to get personal, and that is why as members of Leadership Movement Party, we abstain from, personal politics, personal attacks, because right now I was almost feeling out of place. I felt like, okay, the debate should have been between my two. And
this is why I'm emphasizing, let's stick to the topic. Let's not have personal attacks.
So you should understand that actually leadership, when it comes to governance, is not done by one person or an individual. The president himself also had people that were working for him and working with him. And there could be some of the things that were done right and some of the things that were done wrong, either by him or by the people that were working with him and for him. And hence, the removal of immunity, on the president or on the former president is actually good for him to prove himself that he's actually clean against, he's clean of any allegation that are being thrown at him. What we are against is actually the manner in which some of the things are done. Like I had earlier stated, certain things are not supposed to be pushed. The UPND government has only been in power for quite a few months now. And the president himself knows clearly, because he's the one who stated that when we get to the bridge, we'll be able to cross. So I don't see any reason why, certain things are supposed to be pushed on him for him to realize and actually do. Then at the end of the day, what are we going to say? Isn't that an embarrassment actually on Zambia, to the outside world, that actually a whole president was actually pushed by a group of youths to do his duty? That shows that the president is actually unaware of the things that he's supposed to do. And if that is the case, then we're supposed to be worried as Zambians. We are being led by somebody who is not aware of the duties that he's supposed to perform. So as Leadership Movement Party, we are in support of the removal of immunity on any individual, because that is an opportunity for them to prove themselves. But if it is not done in a correct way, then actually we are going to distance ourselves and speak on behalf of the Zambian people concerning things that can actually benefit this country and take this country to another level, unlike what we are doing right now, because we are now entering into a forum of stagnation.
All right, thank you so much. Let me get to you, Mr. Matomola Likwanya. Now, of course, for the motion to be passed in Parliament for the removal or the scrap-off of immunity of the president, 2/3 of the National Assembly has to vote. All right, that is 75% of the National Assembly. Statistically speaking, at the moment, UPND has 55.2% of members of Parliament in the UPND. In the National Assembly, I beg your pardon. And also the independent MPs, they're 7.9% against the PF, which are at 36.4%. Don't you think you're fighting a losing battle?
By the way, I want first of all to say that we as the Zambian citizens believe that the fight against former President Edgar Chagwarungu's immunity, if taken to Parliament, is going to pass with overwhelming numbers. It is because even the PF themselves, some of the PF members of Parliament before, have expressed concerns about how this man led the country. We saw it in the Butane saga. We never had numbers as the UPND to pass the Butane. But what happened when it was taken to the vote? Even some of the PF members of Parliament voted. And that's how Butane crumbled down. We have got the belief and the hope that if this bill is tabled, if this motion is tabled in the National Assembly, in the Parliament, I want to assure you that this motion is going to pass, his immunity to be lifted, because there are a lot of people who were affected by this man's leadership.
Do you think the Patriotic Front MPs will really rally behind you?
We have some of them, as I'm speaking to you right now, who are already on the side of removing their former president's immunity. We have them. We cannot mention them. We are waiting and you see, we will know when we cross the bridge. One thing that we are against as Zambian citizens, it is to apply the law selectively. We are saying that what is the wrong, what is difficult with removing someone's immunity? Let him clear his name. Let former President Edgar Chagwarungu clear his name. The Zambian people I want to assure you that they are demanding answers to a lot of things. The procurement of fire tenders, the presidential jet procurement, they are looking at answers on a number of things. Zambian people are asking questions on how certain corruption scandals at RDA went. And the fight against corruption, I want to say that it cannot be done by leaving or excluding one individual, because the way these cases are, they are connected. And I want to tell you that there are certain ministers who did what they did at the instruction of former President Edgar Chagwa. I want to say this. We cannot embark on a program of asset recovery and fixing the economy without dealing with perpetrators of corruption. Because if you want to fix the economy...
Mr. Matomola, yes. Really, you've mentioned, you've made strong allegations at the moment. And really, those are allegations without proper proof.
What allegations are those, comrade?
Well, you've mentioned quite a lot, Mr. Matomola. You've mentioned
yes.
you've mentioned that the president was the most corrupt. What proof do you have that the former president, the former head of state, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, was a very corrupt leader?
Is it not corruption? Is it not corruption when you tell people to stay in office? The law does not permit you. Okay, the law does not permit you to tell ministers to stay in office. You tell them to be drawing salaries. You tell them to be drawing free fuel. You tell them to be getting allowances that they are not supposed to be getting, and you mislead those ministers. And you tell them, I've read the law, so because I've read the law, you must stay in office. And when the matter is taken to the court rules that no, Mr. President, Bwana President, you were wrong. Is that not corruption? Then what more else do you want me to prove? Is it me who is raising the matter that a terrorist in Rwanda, in the Rwandan courts, testified before the Rwandan courts that this president...
There's no concrete proof for that.
The videos are there. And not only that, is this not the vice president who came out in the media and told the Zambian people that they knew who were gassing the Zambian people? And we are asking questions.
Well,
if these people they knew through
even the UPND did mention that they knew the people who are gassing, and yet you're in power. You haven't given us that.
No. The UPND was never on record mentioning about knowing
well, you
who
did
gassed
mention that you knew the people who were gassing.
No. It's a vice president and the PF leadership under former President Edgar Chagwa. Now, let me move a little bit further. Permit me, moderator, to exhaust my points.
Well, Mr.
Now, you are cutting me because now...
Time is
yes.
running. You've exhausted your 3 minutes, Mr. Matomola. All right, be quick. I'll give you 30 more seconds.
Yes. So what we are saying is that this action to call for the lifting of former President Edgar Chagwa immunity is not being vindictive. Okay? The same way that the former defense minister has been arrested by shooting someone in a murder case. The same way that Faith Musonda was arrested and 65 million was gotten from her. The same way that other people are being investigated on corruption charges. We want the same thing to happen to former President Edgar Chagwa. And we are saying as Zambian citizens that, look, let us not apply the law selective. Some of these people who are defending the former President Edgar Chagwa have got cases that we know. I've told the media that I've got evidence. And that evidence I have against former President Edgar Chagwa. I cannot bring it here because he has the immunity. I want to challenge the media and the nation today that if former President Edgar Chagwa immunity is lifted, I'll be the first one to come and provide evidence. And I have that evidence. Do you know the reason I can't bring it? He has the immunity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Matomola. We appreciate you giving us your submission in more than 3 minutes. Let's get to you, Mr. Ngwira. Same question with you. Do you think this particular protest is going anywhere, looking at the fact that the UPND or the people in the National Assembly who are, for this particular motion should be 2/3 of the National Assembly?
Actually, President Hakainde Hichilema, having worked with him 7 years ago, so when I was in the UPND, is a man that is principled. He doesn't get moved by, every noise that comes from every corner, by those that are calling themselves activists. You see, I'm worried because this, in Bemba they say, because it's not going to go anywhere. And if, like my colleague said, my young brother here, that if the president is going to succumb to that pressure, then we should be worried as a country that the whole president can be moved by mosquito noise. I think that would be unprecedented in this country. Then, coming to my young brother, you see, when you are representing a party, there must be some kind of honor. There must be some kind of self-introspection. You don't just flip-flop. You don't just, you know, scream and all that. And these issues, when you come to the debate, you want to Google people so that you feel that...
Mr. Ngwira,
no.
What happens if Mr. Matomola has the actual proof?
No, for me, he's going to prove, and I'm very serious. For me, he's going to prove.
No, not for you. I'm talking about the head of state. What if he's got the actual...
Can I be protected from the young man?
No,
because
definitely. I mean, Mr. Matomola,
these are my minutes.
I did make it
He continues to call me young man, so I don't know how old he is because he has not looked at my NRC.
Mr. Matomola,
so let us address each other with
Mr.
respect
Matomola,
to this program.
I did make it clear
because we hold the view that we are national leaders, so we must not continue attacking each other in that way.
You have 3 minutes each, and if you want to counter-react, you can only counter-react within your 3 minutes. And you all agreed that you are very clear on the rules of the debate.
You see,
Mr. Ngwira,
I hope you are going to add the minutes that...
Mr. Ngwira, what happens
that Mr. What is his name? The name is difficult to...
Mr. Ngwira, there can only be one moderator for this particular program, and I'm hoping that you respect my position as the producer and moderator of this show.
But how have I interfered?
I'm speaking, Mr. Ngwira. Listen, what happens if Mr. Matomola has the proof that the head of state has, you know, has made so many cases of corruption with the proof that he has? Let's mention that he's got, or let's imagine that he's got the actual proof. What happens then next with the particular motive that we have at this particular time?
Then it's a very good motive. We are going to applaud him. We are going to clap hands to say, wow, you've saved the nation from being imbalanced. We are going to praise him because he has proved that indeed the former head of state is the most corrupt leader or is the most corrupt president. However, if the otherwise happen, then I'm very worried, even for the UPND, that they can be parading him with such a position. Honestly, the party is, I don't know, I think we had another case of one of the leaders in the UPND that caused the havoc between Zimbabwe and Zambia. I don't know that person, you know. They started talking things that they do not. So I would want to advise my brother. Let me address him as my brother now. Since I withdraw the word young man, and please forgive me. Please, that was a slip of a tongue, forgive me. I would want to address my brother to say, it is very important that when you are dealing with certain issues, let us look deep down our hearts, especially when it comes to allegations. Allegations of corruption are very difficult to prove, even under the courts of law. And when it comes to the removal of the immunity, the law is very clear. The president, if convinced that there is indeed cases that he is convinced President Edgar Chagwa did, he will go to Parliament, move a motion. After moving a motion, it doesn't end there. The speaker is going to constitute a committee. And after a committee is constituted, they will bring lawyers, and the president will go with lawyers before them. They will have to prove all those stages. From there, it has to go now to Parliament after these stages have been proved. Yeah. And after going to Parliament now, they will have to have the the 3/3 majority?
Yes, 75% House.
Yes, of the House. And all those processes must be followed to the latter. Right. And there is no stage in the law that says civil society organizations should go and protest. Another allegation that he made, that I was with President Edgar Lungu last night. Honestly, all those things, he can't even prove. That photo that he showed, that was there was presidential dinner many years ago. That is the photo, and I've seen the other one he's talking about. He has also brought the dossier of my case in Siavonga where I was acquitted, not on Inole. I was acquitted. The state withdrew the case because there was no proof. And he calls that as a dossier. I've just peeped on his papers. No, he took my minutes, moderator. And I think...
And I've given you enough time. The 3 minutes
I think you are moderator, you are not being fair.
One,
you are being biased.
I'm not being biased.
No, give me chance.
I'm as neutral as I can be on this particular forum.
Because again, you are accusing me that I'm not respecting your moderation. No.
Mr. Ngwira, if I am talking, you need to give me a chance to talk and not talk on each other's voices. We're dealing with mics. People won't hear us. This is what I'm saying. There can only be one moderator.
But when this man interfered,
Mr. Ngwira,
you never reprimanded him.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mwanza, same question with you. Let's get to hear your view on this particular issue. 2/3 have to vote. And be able to ensure that ECL's immunity should be considered to be scrapped off. Do you believe that really there is future for this particular motion?
Well, first of all, Mr. Shisha, let me say, I think I deserve to be called for another platform because I feel like my time here, holds little essence because this debate is becoming personal the further we go. I feel out of place. I feel like we're now getting out of topic, So I think I should submit that it would only be fair, for you to actually maybe call me to come and debate, thoroughly. I'm actually interested in some of the things that Comrade Matomola, I hope I got his name right, mentioned. And I think the the nation should also take interest, because here is a man who has proof against the former president of Zambia. Some of you people out there have got questions against, the former head of state, Edgar Chagwalungu. There is a man in Muvi TV studios with proof against the former head of state. The SEC should start following up this case. You've got help here. I should believe that if he holds a title in his political party, then in his capacity he is a representation of the political party.
Yes.
As Information and Publicity Secretary for the Leadership Movement Party, I am the face of the party.
Yes.
Hence, everything that I state here is a representation of what the party stands on.
Yes.
If he is in the ruling party and he says he is fighting for an agenda to uplift the immunity of the former head of state, then there is confusion in the political party of the UPND. Why? Because these are the people that are in power, and he is not supposed to be fighting against his own president, because the president did mention that we are going to cross the bridge when we get there. So hence, he should be following the directive of even, I would have been at peace if I had seen senior members of the UPND also in the forefront against the fight, to remove the immunity on the former president or the former head of state, Edgar Chagwalungu. Because in his capacity, he is a representation of the ideologies of the UPND as district leader or as IPS on the district level. Hence, allow me to just conclude.
Please be quick.
Because of time, again, I repeat, I think Zambia should take interest in this case because we have a man who has got proof against the former head of state. If he has to be heard, then let him be heard. His political power, his political party is already in power. Because some of the allegations that are being uttered here are very sensitive. Yeah. I'm very worried and very concerned because I feel now like we've diverted out of the topic, and if it is the case that, we've got a man with such proof and such evidence who speaks vigorously, I think he deserves to be heard and he deserves to be given a chance. So please, Zambian nation, Muvi TV, keep record of this broadcast so that at least, the voice of of my brother there should actually be heard, because we are talking about a former head of state.
All right. Mr. Mwanza, back to you. I'll restart your 3 minutes. If the immunity of the former head of state is scrapped off, what's your stance? What's next for you as leadership movement?
Well, like I said, Leadership Movement Party actually stands on the ideology that corruption is defilement to the nation. And every person who is found wanting is not supposed to spend less than 37 years in prison, as we do to defilers. Because when you are corrupt, you engage yourself in corrupt activities, you are actually defiling the nation and the assets of the nation. We support the idea behind the removal of immunity on any individual. We are not in support of the way or the process some of the things are done. And right now, the main reason why we are saying, you know, what is going on right now is actually a waste of time for the Zambian people is because we are in an era where we are anticipating, you know, for massive development. You know, the budget was recently presented. We are waiting to see for the implementation of the national budget. We have a lot of things on our table as the Zambian people right now, just especially coming from an election. Hence, throwing attacks on an individual is a waste of time, despite that individual being a former head of state. So as Leadership Movement Party, get me clearly, we are not in refusal of lifting immunity on any individual. But if something is being done in the light of certain aspirations, then we are not going to support that, because our stance is to speak for the Zambian people. Leadership Movement Party is a young political party, meaning it is just still coming up. And our agenda is to speak for the Zambian people. If we are found in a state where we now have to start debating over whether an immunity of an individual should be lifted or not, our first interest is to see how that is going to benefit the Zambian people. Right. And as we see from history, the removal, or when the chase starts, you know, going after individuals, the nation actually loses a lot of money, you know. Yeah. So this process is at the expense of the Zambian people. All right. Unless if, you know, like, that's why I said this, my brother there deserves to be heard, because unless if there is proof that actually the money that we are going to spend in following after Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu is going to be less than the money that we are going to recover, or the assets that we are going to recover, then we will be in full support. But actually, as history has proven, majority of the times, the money that we waste in the process of trying to recover assets is more than the money that we actually recover at the end of the day. All right. Thank you very much.
Your final remarks, quickly.
Dear Zambian people, Leadership Movement Party has got space for each and every one of you. Under the able leadership of Dr. Richard Silumbe, we as a party stand on 4 principles: land to the Zambian people with title deeds,
quickly,
jobs to the Zambian youths, tax breaks and tax holidays to the Zambian businesses, and supporting local products, because we believe local is LUSAKA. Right. So look out for the Leadership Movement Party.
Thank you so much.
On Facebook.
All right, let me get to you, Mr. Matomola. If the motion that you want to be passed in Parliament is not, and former President Edgar Lungu's immunity is not scrapped off, what's next for you as the one who started this protest and the one who is initiating the protest to the Zambian people?
First of all, I want to say that our duty as Zambian people, we have the freedom of expression, we have the freedom to speak on things that matter. As Zambian people, we are constitutionally mandated. And I heard my brother saying the Constitution does not provide. The Constitution provides for citizens to raise their voices on things that matter. So our writing to the President of the Republic of Zambia was not illegal. And that is the reason why when we went to the President to write a letter to him, the letter was acknowledged. Everybody in this country is mandated to raise their voices. That President was voted for by Zambians, and we must go there to speak. Secondly, if the immunity is not lifted, we would have done our part. On today, I want to assure the Zambian people that even when others hold the view that former President Edgar Chagwalungu's immunity should not be lifted, I would rather stand the only man standing, live to speak that former President Edgar Chagwalungu his immunity must be lifted. The answer is very simple. I've explained to you how the law must not be applied selectively. Nobody is above the law. And the president of this country has made it clear that they want to fight corruption. If you want to fight corruption in this country, why would you leave out certain individuals? Everybody must answer on the role that they played in the way that they governed this country. Former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu abused his office. Former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu did a lot of things that we felt that they were an abrogation of the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia. I have made it clear on many platforms that I'm one of those people that will stand to testify against him. And I'm daring those that are coming from the PF like Mr. Chanoda Ngwira to go that direction of lifting his immunity. And you will see the dossier and the evidence I'll provide. I want to further tell the Zambian citizens that, look, if we are not going to remove the immunity of former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu, we are setting a very bad precedence in this country. It means that all the presidents that we are going to have in the future, they will break the law, they will do whatever they will do, knowing that they are untouchable.
Are you trying to say that if ECL's immunity is not scrapped off, President Haka and HLMA will break the law? Is that what
we are saying? And what I'm saying is that...
Is that what you're trying to say?
No, what I'm telling you is that if former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu's immunity will not be lifted, we would have lost in the fight against corruption. Because the president of this country has made it clear that they are embarking on an asset recovery program where they want to recover assets from those that have stolen money and plunder the resources of this country. The question that I want to ask the Zambian people is that
what if your final remarks?
Yes, what if some of these Zambian, what if some of these assets that we want to recover, they are in the hands of the former head of state? We cannot have sacred cows in this country if you are serious about the fight against corruption. There are certain people, I want to assure you, Zambian people, whose cases will be washed out and they will never be touched because they are linked to the former head of state. I want to finally say to the Zambian people that if we are serious about the fight against corruption, we must investigate anybody. We must investigate all of us here. And I'm very much disappointed that we as Zambian people, especially youths, okay, especially my friends who are on this panel, who are afraid to even speak about the immunity because they think that the head of state of this country is a demigod who should not be touched.
Well,
we should not live in such a country where we are afraid of touching individuals
Matomola,
because they are former heads of state.
My question for you, do you realize why that particular article was put in place? Do you realize that the president has so much sensitive information, you know, regarding to the nation?
It was done before. Yeah. It was done before. In 2002, we lifted the immunity of a former head of state.
And
in 2013,
it did not result in anything, Mr. Matomola.
We did.
Yeah.
We did. And I want to tell you that in 2002, when we lifted the immunity of former President FTJ,
right,
we made progress. Do you know that there were some assets? There were some assets that were forfeited to the state.
Because of time, I'll need to cut you. Unfortunately, because of time, I'll need to cut you. But I'll throw it to you, Mr. Ngwira. Please summarize quickly with your 3 minutes that you have.
Firstly, I want to thank Muvi TV for having invited me to come and join the colleagues. And secondly, moderator, is just an advice to you that please, when you ask a question to an individual, when they have not answered, ask them again. When they have not answered, ask them again. Because this behavior of when you are asked 1 + 1, you are saying, no, I went in the morning to go and draw water in Mtendere. It's not helping.
No, sometimes they do that because we'll just be wasting, you know, much time.
So as I conclude,
so quickly, please.
As I conclude, I think Muvi TV, please do some proper due diligence on individuals that you invite here, so that you know this good platform, Blunt Talk, you've built a lot of us, and would want this platform to continue building us. It must not be a platform where you bring anyone to just come and make noise and do things that they're not making sense. It is not helping. Then, finally, as African Youth Movement Zambia, we are very much in support of having a former head of state, their immunity removed. We are not against that. What we are against and what we are perturbed with is the manner in which the UPND government, headed by the IPS for Lusaka, is trying to do this, assignment. I think for us, that must not be encouraged. Yes, time will come. The president can move a motion, like we said. Then the head of state, the former head of state, will have his immunity removed, and he will go to court. Then he's going to prove the IPS. So it's my my plea to the UPND leadership, Bwana Secretary General, if you're hearing me, or Bwana National Chairman, that please do a random check with these, your leaders that you choose and that you put in place, because they'll put you in problems. They'll put you in total trouble. And as a party, you won't deliver, because you now have time to start defending. You now have time to start cleaning yourselves.
Right,
so please, UPND, we beg of you, do not just put these responsibilities on anything that you see passing. Then you say, come, you are the IPS. Come, you are the what?
Thank you so much,
Mr.
Ngwira. I do appreciate. I invited Mr. Matomola in his capacity because he was the initiator of the protest. So everyone here was invited for a reason, and as the producer and presenter of this show, I know why everyone was here. Thank you so much for coming. I do appreciate, hopefully, to have you very soon.
I'll definitely come, but not with him.
Everyone,
because you know that we have serious.
All right. Thank you so much.
I would want to have a debate with him.
Been Blunt Talk,
you are afraid.
fearless debate.
Yeah.
And of course, we're back next week, same time, same place. My name is Chola Chisha, and of course, keep on watching your channel of choice. Good night.
Give us. This is Zambia, the home of copper.